going to hand over now to Rachel Swiatek from the EST, so we can learn a little bit more about the Energy Saving Trust grant and the fantastic work that the guys do at the Energy Saving Trust. So, Rachel, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dan. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Swiatek. I'm Programme Manager at Energy Saving Trust, and it's great to see you all in person. It feels like a bit of a novelty doing events like this, but yeah, good to be here. So now you've heard all about the benefits of eCargo bikes, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you about some of the financial support available to you to help transition to this low-carbon transport solution. So on the 30th of July, a new round of funding for the eCargo Bike Grant Fund was launched. So £400,000 has been made available by Department for Transport, and it will be administered by Energy Saving Trust. So this grant fund is to support businesses with the purchase of eCargo bikes, and it can cover up to 40% of the total cost of purchasing an eCargo bike, up to £2,500 for eCargo for two-wheel models and £4,500 for three-wheel models. There is also a cap of 5 bikes per organisation applying. So there was a previous round of funding on this in 2019-2020, and that successfully funded 409 eCargo bikes there. But one of the differences between that round of funding and this year's of funding, we have introduced a new joint application option. So small businesses can join together and submit one application for a shared eCargo bike. So they can help pool resources and share the costs of purchasing an eCargo bike. So an important date for you to write or type into your diaries now is the application closing deadline of 14th of December. So eligibility criteria. The grant fund is open for businesses to apply to, and that does include limited companies, sole traders, partnerships, charities, not-for-profits. Also local authorities, provided their bikes are being used for their own fleet. The businesses must be operational for a minimum of 12 months and operating the bikes in England. There are also eligibility criteria on the bike models themselves. They must meet the government electrically assisted pedal cycle criteria, and there are some minimum weight and volume capacities as well. Grant recipients must also commit to a code of practice, which just includes things like appropriate training for riders and adhering to the Highways Code. And this has been developed in partnership with the UK Cyclologistics Federation and the Bicycle Association. So how do you apply? So you apply online through our Energy Saving Trust online application portal. And once you've completed that application form, we will then process your application within 15 working days. And once we've done that, you'll hear back with either a grant offer, a rejection, or a query, which is just us asking for a little bit more information on something. But once you've received your successful grant offer, you will then have 10 working days to return the grant acceptance to secure your grant. You'll then be able to purchase your eCargo bike. And after you've done that, you'll then have until the 14th of February in order to claim your grant. So to do that, you'd fill in the claim form, submit that along with a paid or receipted invoice to Energy Saving Trust, and then we will process that once we've got that. And just to note on the claiming, you don't need to have the bikes delivered in order to claim. So just a paid or receipted invoice, as opposed to a quote or estimate as well. So once you've submitted that and we've processed your claim, which does include confirming with the supplier that you've paid the invoice, So it's useful to give them a heads up that that process is coming to just help it along. But after that's been sorted, then we will issue the grant funds and they'll be in your bank account within 3 to 5 working days. So that's the process. But what's in the application form? What do you need to do there? Firstly, we just need the organisation details, and if you are submitting a joint application, organisation details of the other organisations involved. We ask for the primary use of the eCargo bikes, and importantly, the digital copy of your quote for the eCargo bikes. We do ask for an estimated delivery date, but this is just for awareness purposes only. As I said, you don't need to have the bikes delivered in order to claim the grant. If the eCargo bikes are replacing any petrol diesel vehicles on your fleet, we'll just ask for a little bit of information on those vehicles that are being replaced, so model, year of registration, mileage, just that. And finally, any public subsidies information, which is previously known as state aid, that the business has received in the past 3 years. But if you haven't received any, then don't worry, you can just leave that section. So top tips for submitting a successful application. Firstly, please do fill out the application form as completely as you can. This will prevent us having to come back and query anything and speeds up the process. As I mentioned, you will need a quote from your supplier. So in order to have the quote from your supplier, you will need to have chosen your model and supplier before applying. So we don't have a list of eligible bike models, but we do have a list of suppliers and manufacturers which are available in our info pack on our webpage. So you can take a look there. And finally, in the sort of month and a half that this grant fund has been open, we have received high interest in it. So I would advise that you try and complete your applications promptly to avoid any disappointment. On our webpage, we do have some further resources. You can find all of the grant information on our webpage, the eligibility criteria, code of practice, the info pack there with the supplier and manufacturer listings, also FAQs on eCargo bikes and case studies. And we've got an electrifying last mile deliveries guide for businesses, which I've brought some hard copies of and over there if you want to have a flick through. And this sets out the business case for eCargo bikes, including some cost comparisons of annual running costs of eCargo bikes compared with other vehicles, and some more case studies as well. I know Oxwash, you're in there. We've also got a recorded webinar on looking after your eCargo bike too, another important aspect. So now that you've heard all about the benefits of eCargo bikes and all the grants and support available, and you've been surrounded by lovely, beautiful eCargo bikes tonight, I'm sure you're itching to get your hands on one of them. So next step would be to apply online, which you can access our online application portal on our webpage on screen there. And just a reminder, application deadline is the 14th of December, and I would advise that you do that as soon as you can. I'm very happy to take any questions this evening, but if you do think of something later, then we do have an email address that you can email your queries to. So finally, just to say, please do share this with your business networks. An easy way to do that would be just to repost one of our posts on our social media. Our handles are on screen there. We really do want to take as many businesses as possible with us on this transition to a sustainable, low-carbon future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rachel. That was great to understand a lot more about the eCargo grant scheme, so thank you very much. Just let everyone know there will be a quick 5-minute break, so grab yourself a beer, get yourself an elderflower cordial. I love elderflower cordial on a Wednesday night. So do that, and then we will be opening up to a panel discussion led by Dan and involving Farah, Tom, and Ollie before Swami takes over for the rest of the evening. So please have yourself a beer, have yourself a drink, and we'll be back in 5. Thank you very much, everyone.